Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Red Hot Underdogs. I am one of your hosts, I'm AnzaK, and with me tonight, the ever-incredible, long-contained, often imitated, but never duplicated. Please put your hands together for Drewy.
Hey buddy, hey big guy, hey everybody. Welcome to the podcast that not only flies the flag for underdogs right across the world, but will live, die, and glorify underdogs until the test of time, until the day is done, where we all die. We're all for the underdogs here at the Red Hot Underdogs.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you were saying under and a lot of death connections, you could, under the earth, like when you're dead, you're buried and you're 6 foot under. We could be
light and shade when it comes for the underdogs. Usually you spend your life as an underdog dealing with the difficulties of life, but every now and then in life you catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle.
Yep.
Every dog has their day. That's the glory of being an underdog.
Lightning in the bottle. Not for long. It'll fizzle out, but you still have it,
Correct. All of which brings us to our episode today, which is the 10 greatest underdog victories and sporting accomplishments from underdogs of all time. Now, this is a test in itself because we've got to fly through this to a certain degree. We've only got 40 minutes. Case of beat the bomb.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, I start at number 10.
10.
Not the greatest underdog story of all time, but still an underdog story nonetheless. I bring you none other than the 1995 Rugby World Cup final, where South Africa defeated the mighty All Blacks.
Okay. Now, that was in South Africa, was it, that one?
That was in South Africa. Now, today people might say, well, hang on, South Africa have won 4 World Cup rugby titles and New Zealand have won 3 in entirety, for as storied and for as big as the New Zealand reputation is. But I will just tell you this much. South Africa were only reinstated into rugby union in 1992 after the apartheid period. From what I believe was 1948 to 1992, they were in rugby exile and only had 3 years to get their shit together before
I didn't know that.
The first Rugby World Cup.
Yep. And
which is pretty amazing itself.
A movie on it too with Nelson Mandela and the Springbok.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did indeed. And I can't quite remember the name of that movie.
Yeah.
But interesting that you bring it up. But it was such a great day and an enormous moment when a whole country got completely brought together.
Yeah.
Under some trying circumstances because the New Zealanders brought in some awesome names like Sean Fitzpatrick, Walter Little, Zinzan Brooke, Andrew Mertens, the whole cattle. They had a 5-star team. And not that South Africa didn't have a good team. Like they had Francois Pienaar and Joost van der Westhuizen and Joel Stransky, amongst others. But it was whether they could do it on the big stage when it counted. And funnily enough, there were no tries in the final.
Oh my God, that just sums up why I dislike rugby union. So what was it? Like, what was the score?
The score was South Africa 15, New Zealand 12.
And it was just kicks. It was just field goal, or penalty kick, penalty kick, penalty kick, penalty kick. Yep.
Yeah. So to put things into perspective, only one player from each team scored points. Only one player scored points for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Only one player scored points for South Africa. So Andrew Mertens for New Zealand kicked 3 penalty goals and a field goal. And Joel Stransky for South Africa got 3 penalty goals and a field goal.
So how could that be? You just said they kicked the same thing.
No, they kicked that. What they did is they all kicked goals. They all kicked points, like the same, like one player from each team. Mertens
But
from
but
New
but South
Zealand.
Africa kicked more penalty goals.
Yeah, they kicked 3 penalty goals. Oh, sorry, and 2 field goals.
Yeah. Like what
Yeah,
you said.
sorry, I might have said 1 and 2
Yeah.
field goals. Yeah.
Okay, that makes
So
yeah.
that makes
I do,
sense.
I do listen. I do listen. Yeah.
Thank God you're here because maths isn't my strong suit.
Yeah.
And for the record, South Africa scored their second field goal in extra time.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So they would have gone nuts. And yeah,
And that's what made it a great final because it was pushed to the limit and
yeah.
it went to extra time. And South Africa that day did a great job in containing the great Jonah Lomu. For
Yeah.
people who are unfamiliar with Jonah Lomu, he was just an absolute wrecking ball and
Yeah.
an absolute machine in attack back in the
Yeah.
day.
So 1995, right? So where were we?
Yes.
We were year 12 school. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. And it was a great day because a
Mm.
good day for rugby, best day for rugby because it brought in racial harmony because it was
Yeah.
hosted by South Africa,
Yep.
given their long and storied past
Yep.
about the difference in racial equality there. So they all united that day. It was done in extra time. Nelson Mandela presented the World Cup to their captain, Francois Pienaar.
Yep.
And it was just a great day all round. So that's our number 10.
Number 10. Okay.
Beautiful.
Number
Number
9.
9. Yes. Number 9 is a tennis one.
Oh.
Back in 1989,
Oh.
Michael Chang became the youngest ever male tennis player to win a major.
I remember him. So he was Chinese but played for the States, you know?
Yeah, so he had some parents from Taiwan.
Okay, yep. So not Chinese.
And
the opposite.
not Chinese, but represented American because he'd grown up his whole life in America. So he had an American accent and all of that and represented America. So he was actually 17 years, 3 months and 20 days when he won.
And is he still the youngest person to get a major at that age?
In the men's, yes.
Yeah.
In the women's, it's Martina Hingis at 16.
Yeah, wow.
So
okay.
And so in order to get that, he actually went through 2 5-setters in order to reach the trophy and win that particular major back in 1989. He actually beat Ivan Lendl first. And he did that in 5 grueling sets after losing the first 2 sets 4-6, 4-6. He then won the next 3 sets 6-3, 6-3, 6-3.
Yep.
And then faced Stefan Edberg in the final, and he won that one in 5 sets too.
And then he was sponsored by Eveready. Remember he was on the Eveready ad? You know, the batteries?
I'm sure he was. It was a very bloody long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking at that stage, at 17, he's thinking, gee, how many more of these bloody things am I going to win? How good is this?
And how many more did he win? How many more did he win?
A big fat chalky donut. That was it.
Okay. Well, one is a million times better than none. So, I mean, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
So for the record, I think he made 3 other major finals.
Yeah.
Or no, 2 other major finals. Sorry, the Australian Open and the US Open. And he lost both of those.
To who?
It was Boris Becker and Pete Sampras.
Okay, yeah. So he's not losing to chumps, is he? You know?
No. Yeah. But in his 15th year career, he wins a major in his 2nd year.
Yeah.
And I think from then he thought, mate, how good is this going to be?
What's this? Yeah.
Sky's the limit. But as what happens with most of the underdogs, they're great for one day, and they'll just do a lifetime victory lap after that.
Yeah. But he did hold that glass full of lightning. Is that what you said? A glass full or cup?
The lightning in a bottle. He caught the lightning in a bottle.
Good on him, Chan.
That's true.
Okay, so that's number 9. Now
number 8. Yes. So in 1996, we had Sri Lanka beating Australia in the Cricket World Cup final.
Wow.
Now,
Yeah.
for me, this was a big one because just as a reference point, the World Cup started in 1975 for the cricket. Now, out of 8 participants in 75, Sri Lanka came 7th. In 79, they came 5th out of 8. In 83, they came 7th out of 8. In 87, they came 7th out of 8. In 92, they came 8th out of 9th. And in 96, they came 1st out of 12 teams.
Yeah. Wow. What? Well, how? Just underdog luck.
No, they kind of changed the trajectory of the way cricket is played because fielders used to all huddle around inside the inner circle for the first 15 overs to kind of make the game tight, get it off to a tight start.
Yep.
And the Sri Lankans said, bugger that. We're going to start trying to hit over the circles, trying to just slog out. It's a bit of a risk, but if we can get off to a massive start, we can actually cause some damage.
Yep.
They started to employ this to great success, and it's kind of been a blueprint ever since in the one-day international game.
Yeah.
They just changed the way people thought about batting, and it stood them in good stead.
Yep.
So,
Good on them.
And actually, their captain, Arjuna Ranatunga, predicted a World Cup victory after Australia pulled out of the first game that was meant to be in Colombo because Australia had worries about danger over there and war and everything like that.
Yeah. And it was more dodgy then than now, right?
Correct. And Ranatunga said, all right, Australia, we're taking this personally. We're going to meet you in the final and we're going to beat you.
Yeah, wow.
And they did.
Good on them.
And just for the record, the man of the match in that game was Aravinda de Silva, who was an awesome batter. For the most part, a lot of people didn't always think that he lived up to his enormous potential. But on this day, he did. He got 107 with the bat. And he did 3 for 42 with the ball. So,
oh, wow. All-rounder.
Oh, he just killed it that day. So, for the record on that day, Australia got 7 for 241 and Sri Lanka glided to victory with 3 for 245.
Good on them. Hey?
So, yeah, that was our 8. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 for the underdogs. That's number 8.
Yes. So, number 7.
Number 7, straight to number 7. Number 7.
In number 7, Greece wins the 2004 UEFA Euro Championships.
Yes, that was a big thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Now, on this particular year, nobody, and I mean nobody, was going to take the meat out of the Greek souvlaki.
Yeah.
They were locked and loaded and going to win this freaking thing. And they did, much to people's surprise. They actually beat Portugal in the first game and in the final. So that was a big one. They beat Portugal the first time 1-0, and then they beat them in the final 2-1. Yep. Along the way, they defeated France 1-0, the Czech Republic 1-0, and had a draw with Spain 1-1.
Yeah, wow.
So, yeah, prior to that, they had only qualified for 4 out of 17 Euro championships.
Yeah. Well, they're not known as being one of the heavies for soccer, are they?
No. And they actually had one mantra leading into it, which was just win one game.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. You did much more than that.
What underdogs, hey? What
underdogs? Oh, it was bloody brilliant. And that they haven't qualified again since 2012. But they qualified since. So they qualified in 1980 where they came 8th. Obviously, they came 1st in 2004, came 16th in 2008, and 7th in 2012.
Yeah.
Never replicated what they did in 2004, but you'll find that's the same a lot with most underdogs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why they're underdogs. you know,
That's why they're
out
underdogs.
of the blue,
So,
you know.
yeah, absolutely. So coming in at number 6,
Number 6.
yes, on the 5th of November, 1994, at the MGM Grand Nevada,
Ah,
big George Foreman beat Michael Moorer and became the oldest heavyweight titleist at the grand age of 45 years old.
45 years old, you know.
Yes. So
And
this was, yeah,
well,
you go.
when did he get the deal for the cookers, the George Foreman cookers? Was it before then or after then?
That's a very good question. And it's probably something I should have researched, but I have a great big feeling it was after then, because
Yeah,
I think he became extremely marketable after then to
yeah,
be a 2-time heavyweight world titleist.
yeah,
And to add to this underdog status,
yeah.
he won the World Heavyweight Championship 20 years after he first lost it.
Crazy. Honestly, it is
Which,
crazy. But anybody winning anything at the age of 45, what'd you say? He's
yeah.
55. He was
Yeah, he
45.
was 45, 45. And at the time, Michael Moorer was 26.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Yes.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And it was straight after Michael Moorer had beaten a prime Evander Holyfield.
Yeah, wow.
So,
And what
and
was
what
that
was,
fight like? Like run it through. Was it a white? Was
yeah,
it?
so what was happening is
Yeah,
for the most part, Michael Moorer was winning most of the rounds and just picking off the old George Foreman. But George Foreman refused to go anywhere. Foreman was well behind on the scorecards leading into the 10th round, giving a gallant effort and making it sort of like a last hurrah for his career. It
yeah,
was a boom or bust moment.
yeah,
And George Foreman predicted prior to the fight, I might be losing this fight. I might be losing this fight badly. But
yeah.
at some point near the end of the fight, he will be in front of me and I will knock him out. And in
Wow.
the 10th round, that's exactly what happened with a booming right hand from the gods. Big fat Georgie Foreman and his grill came through with the goods. And
Wow.
the commentator yelled out, "It happened.
It
It
happened.
happened."
It happened. Wow.
Yeah, which was
Got it.
amazing. 20 years after losing to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Amazing. That's
Yes.
fantastic. And remember also there's a story how George Foreman was, became, that I'm sure I'm not saying he's not famous for those two boxing wins, but he's just
Yeah.
as famous as being an ambassador and having a cooking machine named after him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
But you
now
know
in
what?
America, they call it a George Foreman, like that's what they call it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Like
that's what they just call it. Like
yeah,
calling it a toaster a toaster.
a
Just
toaster,
grab the George
a
Foreman.
microwave, an air fryer. Like
Yeah.
it is amazing that. And did I hear right? They first called Tyson or Hulk Hogan or something. They called someone first and didn't get through. What was that?
Yeah, so they were actually going to give the option of the grill or the blender to
Yeah,
Mike Tyson or to Hulk Hogan. This was in the days before mobile phones were more mainstream.
yeah,
Hulk Hogan was watching his kids play sport when he
yep.
got the call, but he wasn't at home. So
No,
his wife answered. They said, "Do you want the blender or the grill?" And then she goes, "Well, I can't answer for Hulk because he's not home."
it's not
So
home.
Hulk gave him a call when he got home. And then when Hulk goes, "I want the grill," they said, "I'm sorry, but you weren't home when we called you, but we rung George Foreman. He got the grill, you'll get the blender."
But wait, so
And we know how both of
is
them.
there a Hulk Hogan blender?
There was, but it did
Oh,
much less than the grill. We know which one won out that.
yeah,
To
yeah.
quickly wrap up the Georgie Foreman
Okay.
brilliant
Yeah,
win from the gods,
yeah,
to put the record straight, he didn't come back for any other reason than in his 10 years away from the sport, he became an evangelist and
yeah,
a born again Christian, set up a youth center.
yeah,
He actually started fighting again because he was running out of money and
yeah.
couldn't keep the youth center going. So awesome story.
It's an underdog story. That's what it is.
Beautiful one of my favourite underdog stories.
Yeah, yeah.
Number 5.
Number
None
5.
other.
Number 5.
You can fly the flag for the bloody Aussies in with a very lucky number 5, but not so lucky because there was an element of luck and skill to it.
Yeah.
The great Stephen Bradbury.
Yes. Okay. So he made top 5. I thought he was going to be
Yes.
first last week when you chatted about this, but run us through what happened with Bradbury. He is, one of the most infamous Aussies in Australia.
Yes. So he has that terminology, which is commonly called doing a Bradbury, when you fall ass backwards into a ton full of luck.
Yep.
Doing a Bradbury.
Yep.
The 2002 Salt Lake City Winter Olympics, on February 22nd, he decided that, hey, I'm getting old, the bones aren't as good. Something that people do overlook, this was his 4th Winter Olympics. Nobody ever mentions that. Anyway, he goes, these guys are all quicker than me. All I can do is skate my race, hope that they fall over, and take the fucking gold medal. And that's exactly what he did.
So, and he was quite far behind him, wasn't it? Because they're all skating and, I think they're all Chinese and Asian and, like they're faster and thinner and 20 years younger. And
yeah.
But he made it to the finals. I mean, that's incredible, right?
It was. The funny thing is, he said that he came back for his 4th Olympics because he wasn't really particularly happy how the other 3 went, and he wanted to feel as though he was skating to the best of his ability.
Yeah.
But the strategy for me kind of is at odds with that way of thinking, because he was essentially racing to stay behind them in the hopes that they'd crash and that he'd win.
Yeah.
So kind of he was, but he wasn't. But I guess you could say he raced the perfect strategic fight.
Yeah, good on him. And now he's got a situation named after him, a Bradbury.
Bloody oath he has.
Yeah. So.
And I even remember an interview where he said that he was just on the street and somebody told somebody that they did a Bradbury, and he was standing right next to a person eavesdropping, and they didn't even realize that he was fucking there.
And what did he say?
He goes, it made hair stand up on my neck.
That's me,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've made penthouse level fame.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. So
Okay,
that was
number
awesome.
5, and Aussie got one. Fantastic.
Bloody beautiful. Can you imagine how much he would have blown up in today's age of the internet and social media?
Yeah, would have been much bigger. Definitely much bigger.
Mind you, that's okay. He flew the flag for us, and bloody brilliant, Stephen Bradbury. Number 4. Largely known as the Miracle on Ice. And this was an event that happened in the Winter Olympics in 1980. Now, 22 years ago, the Aussies could argue the real Miracle on Ice happened, but
that was Australia's first gold too, Bradbury, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Australia's first gold, and he had won a bronze. He had won a bronze in 1994 in a relay.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't realise. And that was actually Australia's first Olympic medal.
Yeah.
So he's done more than what a lot of people thought.
Winter Olympic medal.
Yes. Winter Olympic medal.
Number 4.
So,
sorry, mate. Sorry.
Number 4, that's okay. USA beat Russia to win the ice hockey gold medal. Now, it doesn't sound that big on the surface.
No, it doesn't.
But leading into it, Russia had won the gold medal since 1964 and had a bunch of professional players. The United States were only allowed amateur players.
And why was Russia allowed professionals?
So here's the deal. Because of the political ructions between United States and Russia, what was largely seen as the premier ice hockey league in the whole entire world, the NHL, the United States would not let Russian players play professionally in the NHL. So the IOC, the International Olympic Commission, said, well, seeing as though Russians aren't allowed to play in the premier professional ice hockey league in the world, they are now eligible to participate as amateurs at the Olympics.
That's
right.
understandable, though. That's kind of, that's what an amateur is,
Yes.
I mean,
correct.
Like Russia didn't do anything wrong. It was,
No.
they're not allowed to play for the top league in the world, whether it's gold or not. Well, it's not their fault. But you know what I mean. All I'm saying is they were amateurs too.
They were. And what made this such a huge underdog story is you had all these Russians that have been playing for years since they were kids, who were all 28, 27, 26.
Yeah.
Maybe some at 30, but still athletically in their prime.
Yep.
United States were forced to pick some college kids and kids just out of school, ages 19 to 21.
Yeah. I bet they got signed straight after that match, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Mate, and it's still talked about to this day.
Yeah.
It is a next level upset.
Yeah.
And there's a broadcaster in America called Al Michaels, and it was a famous quote from him after they won, and he said, "Do you believe in miracles?" And he shouted out, "Yes, yes, yes." And the crowd went wild, and it was a 4-3 win to United States over the Russians in what is largely called the Miracle on Ice.
Okay, USA.
USA. God, I feel so dirty cheering for the United States.
No, I don't. Sometimes it's fun, God,
sometimes it's
America.
fun.
Yeah. I mean,
beautiful.
But America is rarely the underdog. That's the thing, like
America is very rarely the underdog.
I mean, Australia is often the underdog.
All the time.
Like that's what we are. Aussies.
When we have a big win on the international stage, it's an underdog victory generally.
Yeah. So that's an underdog victory is a great victory, and everybody loves the underdogs. Okay, so that was number 4 or 3? That was 4.
That was 4. Don't forget my 10-minute warning when it comes.
Yeah. Well, we haven't had a 10-minute warning, so
that's good. We're going well.
But I reckon let's unpack this. Number 3.
Number 3, we have on February 11, 1990, Mr. James Buster Douglas knocked out Iron Mike Tyson in what is largely known as the greatest heavyweight upset, and maybe even the greatest boxing upset of all time.
Yep.
So absolutely amazing.
I actually watched a little bit of that because, Tyson had his most recent fight, and we've talked a lot about that circus.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But, in promoting this fight, they promoted Tyson. And I had seen it over the time, but Tyson knocked down Buster Douglas in that match. Can you run us through that fight just a little bit, Drewy? So what happened?
Absolutely. So
how did before you even start, how did Buster even get a shot at Tyson? How did that happen?
So Buster Douglas has been biding his time. He didn't have the most glossy record coming in, which adds sort of extra spice to his victory. His record was 29 wins, 4 losses and 1 draw. And he had been on a little bit of a streak, but mainly been fighting nondescript opponents. And I think he came in with a string of wins, but he had worked his way up into getting the title shot, but not against great opposition. Yeah. He came into this fight as a 42-1 underdog.
10 minutes. Sorry, mate.
Beautiful.
So that gives us
problem.
3 minutes for each of these top 3.
Yep, good. 42-1 underdog for the betting. Anyway, so what happened?
42.
Douglas.
They're good odds, aren't they?
Oh, mate, put your house on it. It was awesome. But no one saw it coming. No one would dare put it on that stage.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Douglas essentially took the fight on from the word go. A lot of people were intimidated by Mike Tyson before it started.
Yeah.
Buster Douglas had his mother die 35 days before the fight.
Yep.
She actually didn't really want him to take the fight. She'd known of Mike Tyson, was fearful for her son. She goes, "Don't worry, Mum, I'm going to win this."
Yeah.
She dies 35 days before the fight. He trains like an absolute demon.
Yep.
That night, he was using his jab to great effect. Every time Mike Tyson came on in the inside, he'd either move away from Mike Tyson, he'd clench or fire off some combos to distract him.
Yep.
And up until round 8, you would say that Buster Douglas was winning something like 6 rounds to 1 leading into the 8th, or 5 rounds to 2, really taking control, gaining momentum.
Yep.
The end of the 8th round, Tyson dropped Douglas heavily, absolutely heavily.
Yep.
However, it was at the end of the round. Tyson dropped.
Yeah.
Tyson dropped Buster Douglas heavily at the end of the 8th. Douglas got up with, on the count of 9, beat the count, then started to come and make some more momentum in round 9.
Yep.
Then by the time round 10 rolled around, Mike Tyson looked spent.
Yeah.
And he had spent so much time trying to knock out Buster Douglas after Douglas had been knocked down.
Yep.
And then Douglas snapped back Tyson's head with a hellacious uppercut, then a 4-punch combo in the 10th round. Tyson was reaching for his mouth guard like a homeless person grabbing for some change on the canvas.
Yeah.
Tyson got up slightly after the count of 10, was wobbling like a sailor, and was dancing like a drunken dancing partner with the referee.
Yep.
The fight was called off, waved off.
Yep.
Game over. Amazing. And Tyson was an absolute wrecking machine back then. So it was an absolutely
it was during Tyson's peak as well, wasn't it?
Yes. Just for quick reference before we wrap up number 3, Tyson's team came so unprepared that they didn't bring an end swell, which is the apparatus you use when the eye is swelling. Yeah. And they didn't have an ice pack either.
Yeah.
And
we didn't have an ice.
They just thought they were going to rock up and win.
Oh, this is it. We don't need an ice pack. We've got the gloves. That'll do.
Well, this is what happened. So by the end of the 5th round, when Tyson had a hugely swollen right eye, the corner got a latex glove, filled it with ice and water, used that as the ice pack, and didn't have an end swell. Came totally unprepared, play stupid games, get stupid prizes.
I like it.
Now, on to number 2.
Number 2.
1983, Australia wins the America's Cup.
Oh.
Now, there's one you weren't expecting.
Why was that such a, underdog performance?
One perfect reason. The Americans had held the America's Cup for 132 years and never lost it.
Okay.
And
take us
up. So Americans raced out to a 2-0 lead, I believe, in the best of 4. You had to get to 4, and then Australia made it 2-1. Then America made it 3-1, meaning Australia had to win its next 3 races. And with the magical winged keel, we came home, dare I say it, with a wet sail, and we absolutely fried those Yankees and lifted the amazing America's Cup, Australia 2, defeating the American boat Liberty.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first time we've ever spoke about sailing on this show, isn't it?
I know. There's one for sailing. We don't give you much love, but you're coming in at number 2 for our underdog segment.
Have you ever been sailing, Drew? I know we've got to get onto this list, but have you done it?
Only in my dreams.
I've done it before, and it's good fun. Great fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'd be too confused by the amount of ropes and sails.
It's definitely a sport. It's definitely a team sport. But you know,
Yes.
it's also one of those sports too where money makes you faster.
It does.
Yeah.
And that winged keel was funded by great Australian entrepreneur Alan Bond
Oh yeah.
and designed by Ben Lexon. So
Was
a bit
it
of
on
money
that
goes a
boat?
long, long way.
Sometimes these investors are on the boats. Was he on it?
I'm not sure. I needed to do more research. Maybe, maybe not.
That does happen. You know, they put
Yes.
politicians on them. They put these billionaires on them. You know, these. Yeah. Okay. Bonding.
Correct.
You know,
Just to wrap up number two before we get to number one,
number two.
the two things that made that win so iconic amongst breaking the 132-year hoodoo was Bob Hawke saying any boss who doesn't let their worker or who makes the worker come into work on this day is a bum.
Yeah.
And famous quote.
Yeah.
And the other thing was the iconic song Land Down Under from Men at Work. It purely encapsulated the mood of that year.
Yep.
1983 winning the title.
Okay.
So
another for the Aussie.
Correct. Number one.
We're up to number one. Okay. We've got 3 minutes.
This is great. Beautiful. Number one. A sport we often bag out and we don't often follow. But I'm going to give it the number one place. Leicester City winning the Premier League in 2016.
Had no idea.
2015.
Okay.
2016. So I'll fill you in.
Yeah. Fill us in.
Before the start of this is one of the greatest underdog stories of all time. They were at betting odds of 5,000 to 1 to win the Premier League title
at the start. 5.
Yes.
Were they in the they must have been in the in the Premier League, but they're right down the bottom. Yes.
Yeah, so the previous season they finished 4th in the Premier League, and they needed to win 7 of their last 9 games to avoid relegation.
Okay.
And they came in as a 5,000 to 1 underdog, and out of nowhere, they had 23 wins, 12 draws, and 3 losses for the season, making it the most amazing competition win of all time against all the odds. And to show how much of a lightning in a bottle moment it was, the manager that won it that year, it was his first year. In the next year after that, he got sacked and they came 12th.
Jesus.
So
the manager got sacked not at the start of the next year, at the end of the next year for coming 12th.
Correct.
That's not fair. That's not fair at all.
Mate, it's a hard world in soccer. Results. It's a results-driven industry, unfortunately, and I don't think it's fair.
Less than a minute to
go.
So, I mean, we didn't even talk much about number one, but, soccer's not our forte. Can we go through 10 to 1 just quickly?
Okay. 10 was the Rugby World Cup 1995. Number 9 was Michael Chang winning in 1989, becoming the tennis youngest man to win an Open. Sri Lanka, number 8, winning the World Cup in 1986. 7 was Greece, winning the UEFA Euro Championship. Number 6 was George Foreman, World Heavyweight title at 45. Number 5 was Stephen Bradbury. Number 4, Miracle on Ice, USA versus Russia. Number 3, Douglas over Tyson. Number 2, the America's Cup. And number 1, the Leicester Foxes, winning the 2015 to 2016 title in Premier League, despite being 5,000 to 1 odds.
There you have it. The top 10